Spooky Tuesday.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson,
I'm Monica Haight.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
and this week, if you can't tell by the amount of pimple patches Monica and I are wearing on our face, or the fact that I'm in glasses because my eyes are so puffy and I could cry at any moment, like I have been doing all day, or the fact that I can't say that we might get flagged. We are
We're
recording this
feeling very
the
bad.
day after the election.
Yes, today is
Yay!
November 6th. You're seeing this much later. If you thought, whoa, they were weirdly happy on the Van Helsing
Oh my God, they didn't
episode,
even, it's so weird. They glossed right over
they
it
didn't
on
even
their
talk
Election Day
about,
episode and the next week's episode.
bizarre
We
that they
were
didn't even talk about how the world is ending. Well, that's because we didn't know yet. That was in the past. We were
We
still
had
we
so
were
happy
much
young and
then.
hope
naive.
at that time. We had so much belief in the universe. I was like,
Yes.
everything's gonna be amazing, which is, would have been hopeful
Yeah.
regardless, but
100%. I think that when we planned to record today, we had hope and
we
joy in
actually
our
we
hearts.
actually planned to record yesterday, which is
Yeah.
We planned
crazy
to record
too.
last night, which was absolutely horrible. We planned that recording
We're
session
like, oh, we'll
like
just swap. We'll just do
3
day
weeks
after
ago.
election day. That'll be better.
Yeah, we thought that that would be better. And also, we're very busy girls, and so we had many things to do, and so this is what worked out. But yeah, needless to say, we're in a state right now as three fucking queer women who host a gay horror movie podcast.
Who maybe have Republican relatives.
And
Maybe.
a woman who
All of us
literally
have.
lives in Alabama,
She lives in
where I
Alabama,
have
you guys. It's
no
going really
fucking
good for
right. A woman
her.
Yeah,
who wanted to start a family, not anymore. Bye. Mark and
things.
Helen, kiss your grandkids goodbye. They're never showing up.
Oh my God. Well, things are really dark right now, but we just want to say to our listeners out there, I know that we have a lot of female, queer, people of color listeners out there, and we are with you in the pain that you might be feeling right now. And I'm gonna cry a little bit, but I love you guys, and we will get through this somehow together. And I'll keep wearing the gay bucket hat every day until something happens. I don't know. But
Also, if you are a man that voted for Kamala, thank you. It's so
thank
nice to know that you don't hate us.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Nice men who voted for Kamala and you listen to this podcast, you can stay. But ever if you didn't do that, I don't want to talk to you.
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out.
The
Ooh.
amount of friends and family that I have removed for actually posting really horrible shit. I'm just
Yeah.
like, bye, bye. I was
No,
this
totally.
close. I'll redact this from blocking my dad because he follows Trump. I was like, I don't need to be your social media friend, bestie.
Yeah.
We actually
Block,
don't need to be on here together if that's the environment that you're cultivating.
right?
But
Block.
anyway, yeah. We don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole because this will turn into an entire episode about this, and it probably will anyway, babes.
And
But
that's why we're
we
doing The Oath, the movie where they swear allegiance. No, I'm just kidding.
no, Jesus fucking Christ.
No,
This is our second election with Spooky Tuesday, and it's
I
been fucked
know.
every fucking time. Last time, 4 years ago, we did The Purge during a highly political movie during the like 4 days or however many days where we didn't know if Joe won or not. And guess
Right?
what, bitch? This is way fucking worse. And
Yeah,
so
because
we're
this is
doing a
all
movie.
about
It
trauma.
turns
There's
out
a trauma
sometimes
movie.
uncertainty leaves room for hope.
Right.
But we
And why
know that shit is fact. But also
never
we
have
have to
hope because it's gonna come back around and get you.
but
So
you know what you can have if you don't have hope? You can have stubborn temerity to say fuck you in whatever way you can, sometimes just by moving forward.
Yeah. But anyway, we love you guys so much. And this week on the podcast, what are we doing, Sydney? Your
We're
favorite
doing.
movie?
I don't know. I'm numb and I cried sporadically throughout this whole movie. So who knows what I've actually absorbed. But I will say
Reasonable.
I didn't hate it, and that movie is
Oh,
Smile.
okay.
Smile.
Interesting.
2022.
Are
Well,
we all
hey.
are we all smiling right now? Is no. No.
I'm doing a smile, but it's the kind of smile that says, things are not okay, which is the kind you see a lot in this movie, actually. So,
Yeah,
It's the kind
no,
of
that's
smile when
actually
somebody walks up to you and they're like, Bestie, is everything all right?
hey,
No,
hey,
actually, everything is
girl.
not all right.
No, girl, it's
No,
not
no,
all
girl.
right.
girl, and I don't know if it's
Ever gonna be all right.
If it's ever gonna be all right. Anyway, okay, we're gonna try and talk about the
it
movie.
will, but maybe a
We're
long time from
so
now.
good at picking movies at election time,
We
guys.
love to move
Well, okay,
forward.
even before
There was no good
this
movie to
happened,
do
no, no,
for,
no.
yeah,
I fucking hated this movie the first time I saw it. I felt violent hatred the first time
yeah,
I saw it. So
as I
we
recall,
already knew that this was gonna be a hater episode. It's just got a different
potentially.
flavor now.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sydney,
Oh,
give him the IMDb log line and then we'll get into it.
okay. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, a psychiatrist becomes increasingly convinced she is being threatened by an uncanny entity. Dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
baby.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, I will say though, I
Uh-huh.
didn't realize that Kyle Gallner,
Gallner, I think, but certainly
Gallner,
don't know.
Gallner
I think.
is in this, and
Yeah.
he is the sexy boy in Jennifer's Body,
He's
who
in lots of
she
scary
rips
movies.
God, that's
up.
him. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes. He's
Eh,
also
oh.
is isn't he also in
The emo
Scream?
boy, in case you can't remember, because he looks so different. Yes, he is literally
he's
the
like the
descendant
disgusting
of
Of
older, yeah,
Stu.
Schumacher.
Stu's
Of,
nephew.
I just want to
Yeah.
say, smash.
Smash.
Yeah. He's
Hard
been in like
smash.
one bajillion things.
He was just in Strange Darling, which Chelsea
Oh
and I
yeah,
saw
that as
over the
well.
I need
summer.
to go
And
see
it's,
that.
oh my God, I fucking
I
love
don't,
that
I
movie.
will
I
be
would.
very curious to know what you think of it.
And
Yeah,
honestly,
I
now that
would
I know that
too.
he's in it, I'm way more motivated because
I
again,
I
loved
think there are
it.
parts of it
smash.
you would really like, and then I don't know, there are probably parts of it you would not like, but I think there's some parts you would really
No, I think it's
like.
100% worth. Don't put any thoughts in her head. I think it's 100% worth the watch, but for sure. And it's also beautiful director of photography. Giovanni Ribisi, the actor. This was his first time being a DP, and he slayed. So anyway,
They filmed
but
it on film, which is cool.
yeah. But Smile, not filmed on film, as far as I can tell. But it does also star Sosie Bacon.
Susie
She's so cute.
Bacon. I Googled her to see if she had any siblings because I was curious. And I found out this will be old news by the time this podcast comes out, but one day ago, 2 days ago now, I guess, there was an exclusive on Variety that Susie and her brother Travis and their parents Kira Sedgwick and Kevin Bacon will be making a family horror comedy together called Family Movie. So
I love that they are being like a horror family.
poor
What's like
family.
horror royalty?
It's
Or
Yeah.
a
like
horror monarchy.
yeah. It's like one of those like classic TV. It's like the Brady Bunch, but it's like the horror version of that. Have you seen their videos on TikTok? They like all sing together. It's a lot.
I did not know
They're
that there
doing
was
some
a
singing.
son in the equation. But per his IMDb, he is a composer, a music artist and composer. So they seem to be a very musical family.
Yeah. I had never seen her in anything before, and then that turns out that that's not true, and I've seen her in a
Oh,
lot of things because I just don't know what she looks like. Apparently, she's in Mayor of Easttown. I
Yeah.
loved that
yes.
show, and she was in 13 Reasons Why, but I suspect that it was season 2, which I did not touch with a 10-foot pole.
I watched,
Because
unfortunately, all of those seasons.
Me too.
What a
is
mistake that
it
was,
season
but
2? Do you recognize her? I don't know.
don't know,
I
girl.
think it's season
Oh,
two.
she was in the Scream TV show too. Okay, good for her. Good for her.
No, she's
I
also in season. Maybe it's just season
Oh,
two.
she's in season 1. She's in season.
Yeah.
She's like
Is
the emo girl that likes clay.
Yeah.
she's a child in it? She's one of the children?
She's one of the children.
Yeah.
How? Okay. I am just lost. Oh my God, she's exactly our age. Why did I think she was older than us? It's because she looks so upset this whole movie. She's got bad shit happen to her the whole fucking time. So that's
Yeah.
why. But yeah, I mean, Chelsea and I just saw Smile 2, which was a riotous experience for
Loved
all
it.
of
Saw it in
the senses.
4DX.
And so,
Seats rocking all over the theater.
yeah, it was interesting to watch Smile after my first experience with it, which was
Mhm.
unadulterated hatred. And I stand by a lot of what I've said in the past, mostly in our trailer reactions. So I will recap for the listeners who are not our patrons, plug for the Patreon. But Smile, the first one for me, gave all the scares away in the trailer, and I felt the rest of it like didn't hit and was kind of like boring. And watching it again, I don't think it's necessarily boring, but I do agree. I remembered every single scare except for the end. They can't give away the end in the trailer, except some trailers try. But I also just like seeing Smile 2 and how well they executed this incredible concept because it's a really interesting concept. I would say that Smile 1 is almost an abject failure in comparison to Smile 2. I swear to God, I still liked it a lot better this time, but even like the smile thing, I was like, they didn't do that very well. Like the smiles were
Yeah.
not that creepy. And that's like the whole thing. Like, I think the marketing for this movie is something that is absolutely fucking brilliant. And it really hones in on the smile, which is the whole thing. It's the whole movie.
Yeah.
But within the actual film, I think the actors that they had doing the creepy smile in Smile 1 like did not nail how the creepy smile and make it as effective as like
Except for
clearly
the
demonic.
therapist psychiatrist.
Yes.
She
Yes.
slays it.
She
Where she's
wow.
like,
Good push. Good push. Yeah.
I
perfect.
have
She's like,
not seen Smile 2, so I have nothing to compare to.
that one is from this movie as compared to like the girl at the birthday party who's just like,
I
you know
thought
what I mean? Like it's not.
the girl at the beginning did a really good job.
Oh,
So
Caitlin
yeah,
Stacey slays it.
Yeah.
she is so good, and she, correct me if I'm wrong, Chelsea. I forgot to watch the short film again. But she's the actress from the short film that this whole
She's the
movie is
actress from
based
this
on, right?
short, which is called Laura Hasn't Slept. I actually
Yes.
haven't seen the full short because it's like on the DVD feature, so I could only find like
It's
a
on.
clip of it online, not the full
Oh,
thing.
really? I've seen the whole thing. That's
Okay,
so
we'll
weird.
have
It
to
used
do
to be
a
on
deeper dive
YouTube.
later.
What's it called
Maybe I
again?
didn't scroll far enough, but I saw like things that were like advertising it basically and not like doing a full reveal. I will say I really liked Smile the first time I saw it. I can't remember if I had like seen a trailer beforehand because I Monica saw it before I did and Monica hated it and like your big complaint as you just talked about was like they gave most of the scary things away in the trailer. So maybe I didn't see the trailer. I don't know. I think I did. To me, what really resonated was like the darker psychological Candyman kind of thing with it, where it's like you're no longer necessarily engaging with reality in a meaningful way. And so I felt like the scares in the trailer were kind of superficial compared to that. I will say, now that I've seen Smile 2, I think that Smile 2 does everything much better. I do think that Smile 2, but not just because it's a sequel, but like from a creativity standpoint, they didn't have the ideas for Smile 2 until they had done Smile 1 and were like kind of
Yeah.
engaging with like fan questions about the lore and like starting to think through it more and like starting to explore those ideas. I think Smile 1 was incredibly necessary to get to there. And so I am so happy that it exists because Smile 2 again slays very camp and like the space that Smile 1, super, super low budget, not super, super low budget movie, $17 million or something like that for the budget. But like They thought it was going to be a small movie. They did not think it was going to hit. They were going to just release it on streaming. But then it did really well with test audiences, so it got bumped up to a theatrical
Oh,
release, and then it did
interesting.
like really well as a theatrical release, which is how we got Smile 2 with such a
Well,
big budget and so much like additional production elements and like some very slight pop songs. So like
honestly, very slay pop
yeah,
songs.
it was
But yeah,
it was a necessary stepping stone for sure, but again, I think Smile 2 really outshines it.
yeah, and I think that they couldn't
And we
have
also got
started.
we got Poster when we went to see it in 4DX.
Yeah, I
So,
immediately dropped a box on mine and destroyed it, but glad
oh.
yours is still pristine. Mine's in the trunk
Should
of
I
my
put it
car
right here permanently forever, do you think?
to cover up that hole in your wall. Yeah.
No, that skull covers up the hole in my wall.
Wow, bird.
I love you.
You want to see what else I have? Just while it's right here on hand. Here's my other thing. Look, she's bedazzled.
That needs to go up behind you
Slay!
for sure. Yeah, that needs to. That's a must. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about Smile 2 so much too much because I want
Sydney hasn't seen it and you
to
want to preserve
well, because
her.
Sydney hasn't done it, but that's not what I was gonna say. I
Oh,
want us to do it on the podcast one day because I do think that at least in part Sydney will think it slays. So I think it would be a fun one for us to do. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that Smile 1 had to happen for Smile 2 to happen, obviously, money wise, whatever, whatever. But like it sets up the lore, and I think it's important to like I feel like I wouldn't have fucked with this as heavy if it didn't start somewhere smaller and then get as big as it gets
yeah.
in Smile 2. So
There's
I
also
think that that's
a
important.
direct through line, Sydney. So that's an interesting element of like it's not necessary for Smile 2, but there's like a lot of informing stuff
Yeah.
for Smile 2.
And I
Okay.
think also rewatching the first one made me appreciate the second one more because something I didn't really appreciate is that they have a very strong like stylistic voice um in the film like as far as like cinematography wise and like overall tone kind of and then also just like mannerisms of the monster that they play up in Smile 2 that I didn't remember, but in Smile 1 they set them up and then they just do execute them on a higher and better level in the second one. But they do set the scene well in this movie. And the marketing, though, ruined it for me, also is the reason why this movie was such a hit. Because that marketing with planting the fucking creepy smile people at like the world, I don't know, was it
The
the World
baseball
Series,
The
game,
at the
yeah.
baseball
baseball
games.
games, at all these events? Like that is a stroke of genius. That was fucking so smart. That's almost Blair Witch level. Okay, like that is really, really well done. And I remember being super impressed by that back in the day. And again, fell victim to my own shit, which is overhyping something
Yeah.
so much and then being disappointed. But,
I'll bring
you
this
know,
up again later too, but they did win a award at the 2023 Hollywood Critics Association Creative Arts Awards for Best Marketing Campaign. So like they slayed that.
genius. No, they totally did. And the story itself it is an interesting one, you know. A lot of people criticize this because they're like, "Oh, it's like it's follows, blah 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 blah." But like, okay, there's going to be they
Oh
came up
my
with that
gosh,
idea
a
one
horror
time.
entity follows somebody and it can be
That's
passed from person like it's
come on.
sure.
They don't hold the patent on that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it can be done again and this is done in an interesting way.
The
And I
ring
think it's
existed before it follows. Like,
exactly. Like there I think that it's interesting to have a movie where trauma is the demon in a lot of ways. I just wish that it was handled a little bit better in the movie. I don't think that like it does that thing that's why I'm also surprised that you like it so much, Chelsea, because you always say that you have historically said that you don't like horror movies that like use like mental illness as the main like driving point. Like, is she crazy or is she
no, I do like
seeing
that.
ghosts? Okay, well, I was doing ad placements for an old
Wait, let me
episode and
clarify
I
maybe.
got to
Yeah.
a part. Let me just finish. I got to a part and you said literally exactly quote verbatim what I just said. I only remember it so clearly because I just listened to it like
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Is she crazy or is she seeing ghosts? I probably did say that I hate that. But movies that I historically find very scary, or I like engage with in like a fear capacity as opposed to
Mhm.
just being like, I'm watching an entertaining story, is the movies where it's like you can't trust your own perception of reality anymore. So, like, the elements with the people outside of her, like her fiance, Trevor, who is so not on board for any of this, I hate that.
Yeah.
But like when she gets the phone call from the alarm company and then like looks up at some point and then looks down at her hand, the phone is not in her hand, the phone is over in the cradle, it's ringing again. Like when it's like you can no longer trust that you're what you're perceiving of the world around you as you move through it, what you're doing, that you're actually doing. That I find a very scary
Oh, it's fucking
concept.
horrifying. Yeah.
And that hits for me pretty consistently.
Okay. Yeah. I see the distinction. I think, I don't know. I mean, let's start off at the very beginning because I think the beginning is kind of one of the most effective parts for me, at least, like even if I've seen part of that scare in the trailer, which I did, it still is just so incredibly haunting. Setting up Sosie as is she like um she's like an emergency psychologist or what exactly is her position or
She
therapist?
she is a doctor, so she has her medical well, I guess we don't know for sure. My understanding was that she has her medical degree, so I think maybe she's a psychiatrist potentially.
Psychiatrist, that's it. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, but she works in like an emergency mental health ward. And her work is her life. Like even before she sees this particular patient, Laura, we see her boss Cal Penn be like, "Girl,
Help
you
and
gotta go
slay.
home." Yeah, there's so many like random actors in here where it's like, "What are you doing here, girl?" Like
Calpen, go to what is it,
Judy
White Castle?
Reyes.
White
Yeah.
Castle. I love
Cal Penn,
Calpen.
go
I was
to the
happy
White
that
House. Don't you remember when he left the TV show House to work in the White House?
I fucking forgot
He's in
about that.
politics for a while.
I love Calpen. When I remember,
Yeah.
like, because that he's not in the trailer. That's one thing they left.
What a
That's one thing
surprise.
they left. I was like,
Hmm. Cal
Calpen.
Penn.
Um,
For a while. At first, I thought you said cowpen, and I was like, what are we
Calpen.
talking about right now?
Calpen. There's the pigeon pin. There's the cow pin. It'll
Right? I
come
was like,
together
okay,
soon.
okay. It took me a
Cal
while,
Penn
but I
is
got
for
Yeah.
it.
something that's like a larger discussion point than a pigeon
Right?
pin.
The
If you like
cow pin.
compare their
Cowpen.
sizes, yeah.
Cowpen is a tall guy, so or cowpin. It depends on how you're saying it. It can go either way. Um, but yeah, I think they do a good job of like setting her up as like
You
overworked,
you gotta go
thinking
home. Not even just overworked, overworking herself. She does not
on
want to go
purpose.
home. She only wants to be here, and she's being told to go home. And then she gets the phone rings, and she's like, "Oh, I can't possibly go now. There, I'm
That
needed here."
I thought that was such a good scene. I love it when they do shit like that in horror movies where they show you how close the person was to living a happy life and never having any of this shit happen to them. Like she literally should not have been able to hear that phone ringing, but she's a workhorse. And this is a
Hmm.
reminder to all of you to remember to live your lives and don't die for your boss. Okay, continuing on with smile. um, but I just think again, Caitlin Stacey is so good in her character as Laura Weaver, and I'm so glad that they had the original actor from the original short film
Hmm.
because I just checked; it's not on YouTube anymore. It used to be. And it's pretty good. It's different. It's very different, but like there's definitely again, it's been 2+ years since I've seen it, and you know my memory, so I can't say for sure. But I remember like not being super impressed by it because I was in my hater era. I watched it after I watched the movie, and I was like, maybe this will be fucking good. And then I was like, not that good. But that doesn't mean that Caitlin isn't great.
She's fantastic. She's also great in Class of '07 if you ever need a little short TV show, sort of apocalyptic scenario. Australia, girls' school, they come back for a
Hmm.
reunion, they get stranded because sudden
Okay,
flood. I don't know.
interesting.
Saskia
I'm
is her
down.
character's name. Emily Browning is also there.
Oh, definitely down. Definitely down. But I think that she's so amazing because just that scene is, I mean, it's not, it is foreshadowing, yeah, because it's like literally what's gonna happen later on. But like, I don't know, that feels too, it's not, it's so overt, it's not foreshadowing. But like just her like mental state, like the fact that she is again similar to Rose, who later on is going to experience this. She is a highly intellectual woman getting her fucking, I don't know,
She's a
PhD in
PhD
something.
candidate.
She's
Yeah.
a PhD candidate. She like has been on this path like to get her PhD up until a week ago when someone killed themselves in front of her, and now
By
she
bludgeoning
is
themselves with a hammer, no less.
bludgeoning themselves with a hammer. Ugh, the kills are so gruesome in this. And then I still wanted more, but I watched it
Yeah,
after
because
I watched
they're
Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3 in one day. So I think that's why I was like, oh, it could have been grosser.
could
Yeah,
have
of
been
course
grosser for
it could
sure.
have been grosser, but it doesn't need to
Smile 2
be.
gets grosser. Smile 2 gets grosser. I'll
All
put that on the
2,
record. This
all 2
one,
gets
kind of
grosser.
almost surprisingly bloodless, except for the pool of blood you see spreading around Laura after she gets got by the curse monster.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you see her slicing her neck, it's not like over the top gore. Even when you see like pictures of the other victims later on, like they kind of look fucked, especially the guy who smashed his face with a hammer, you know, his face is kind of like smashed a little bit, but it's still
It's probably a product
startling
of the
to look
budget.
at, but like again, kind of low key in terms of potential horror gore.
Yeah, definitely. But it just, I think it's so well done, just that whole scene. Laura, what she's saying, how she's so scared, and then when I like how they set up in advance of the ending, spoiler alert, that the monster is really tall. Because she like is looking up at something and that gaping mouth. I just think it's really, really horrific.
Yeah, you see that
And
moment where her mouth goes like,
yeah, and I love the Chelsea, for our listeners at home who aren't watching, she did a big gaping open mouth. That's what happened. That's what you
no, don't see that.
missed.
Mind the gape.
But I also love the like almost Black Dahlia nod, not exactly, which I think that's not it's more less on the nose to have her like cut a smile across her face and less fucked up to like reenact a true crime, you know? Um, but I love when they show Laura's body later on with the
Yeah.
blanket over her face, the smile of blood
Mm-hmm.
through the sheet, not the blanket, the dead person sheet, whatever they call it. I
The
thought that was
shroud.
really, really, really fun. And that too, like that's that seems like such a little thing, but that like becomes a theme within the Smile universe. So I love that they did a good job of pinpointing little things they did in the first thing to continue it on to make it feel like a cohesive franchise, even
Yeah,
though the
and
scope of the
honestly,
story changes so
again, not
much.
to get too into Smile 2, but they do a lot of the same things in Smile 2, but they do them I think pretty well that you're almost just like blown away still a lot of the time, but
Yeah, it is a lot of the same stuff, but it's just
done well or done a
done
little
well,
differently
done
or
a
done
little different.
interestingly enough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, God damn, imagine being Rose and you've just worked like a 48-hour shift or whatever the fuck it was, something crazy that's illegal. And then you stay one more second and you watch someone kill themselves horrifically in front of you. And then your fucking ex-boyfriend is the cop that shows up to take your statement. And then he's actually the nice one and the other cop is a fucking even more of an asshole. Oh my God. That's the one bad thing about Kyle Gallner is that he's
a
a cop. But I do think the name
Anti-Smash.
Joel is kind of hot, unfortunately, which I think is like problematic in and of itself. But
That the name
at first
Joel is hot?
I thought his name was Joe, and I was like, not hot. And then they were like Joel, and I was like,
Whoa! Oh my God!
I honestly
In
was
a
like,
new
oh,
light.
good.
I
Very
think
intellectual
I missed the
take.
part where he was a cop. I like wasn't paying attention until later when she like barges into his house.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, he's a
Were you just like,
cop.
why is he there? Why is he checking on her later? So
I was
weird.
like, he's a cop. Boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's necessary for plot purposes in this film, so
It is. It is. It is.
I will
And
glance briefly the other way.
no, and I love him so much in this movie too, especially in comparison to our bitch fucking Trevor, played by Jesse T. Usher, who I was just about to look him up.
He's in The Boys.
That's what it is. Yep. I was like, I'm 99% sure he's A-Train in The Boys. Ugh,
Yeah, 'cause
another douchebag character.
there's a piece of trivia about it's I don't know, somebody else was like in The Flash, maybe. Yeah, Kyle Gallner previously played Bart Allen slash Impulse slash The Flash on the CW television series Smallville. Smallville shout out.
He was
Jesse
on
T.
Smallville?
Usher currently plays A-Train, a spoof of The Flash on the Amazon Prime television series The Boys.
Love that.
So it's one of
Ugh.
those coincidentally little IMDb trivia ones, which is always funny to
And
me.
The Boys is such a fucking good show. At least it was up until 2020 when I stopped watching it. So that was a long time ago now. So things could have gotten really bad. But I've
Did
told
you see
the story
somebody's
before.
head explode and it was like something was
No,
going
I'll
on
tell
in the world?
I'll tell it right now. No, what happened was I broke my collarbone and it was not set yet. I
Mm.
had not had my surgery yet.
Yes,
And I
you're
was
right.
watching The Boys and then somebody's head exploded and my bones jumped over each other and they clanked against each other. Think about that. And then I finished the
Ooh.
episode and another head blew up, so it happened one more time. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna maybe never watch The Boys again.
Yeah.
I have a body horror
You
trauma
have
with
trauma.
The Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Speaking
so
of trauma.
I was like, Jesse T. Usher, I remember you from something, and I'm also pissed at you already because of that thing, because
Yeah.
Adrian's a dick. All the soups are pretty bad in that show. But
The soups.
God, what a fucking they call him that. What a fucking like this is like almost Mika level. This is almost Mika level bad partner, okay?
Yeah.
Almost.
Okay, well, because the
Mika
thing
from
too.
Paranormal Activity, in case you're confused in the first one.
Sure. The thing about Trevor in this one is that, like, I don't remember if he is a lawyer or if I just decided that he was a lawyer. But to me, vibes are very like, we're a lawyer and we're a doctor and we're a professional couple and we've got our lives together and we own a house, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? They're so like, we're adults who are doing it the right way and we're at the right place in our lives. And look at us. We're both so
100%.
committed to our jobs and we're professionals. And
Yeah.
there's like, I think he's one of those people who like has a plan for their life and they're following their plan. You know what I mean? And it's like he perceived her as a professional, not somebody who got into this field because they had a lot of trauma. And part of their entry point to social work was like healing some of that or trying to help other people who are, you know what I mean? Like that's the motivation for her. And I think he just was like, she's a doctor and not like she has a deep personal history with this stuff that is occasionally, smile curse aside, going to rear its head sometimes. And he was just not at all prepared. He was prepared for her to be somebody who works in the field of mental health. He was not prepared to ever have to face any trials or tribulations with mental health in his own life.
100%. And I mean, like, so you can have some sympathy for him in a way for him, like, because also Rose later on in the film, when she has a moment with Kyle later on, and that's all I'll say about it. She says to Kyle about how like she keeps walls up with everyone in her life because she doesn't want anyone to be let in, because she never wants to like relive the traumas of her childhood with her mother, which we'll get into in a bit. Um, and so I can imagine that means like she didn't want to be personal with anyone. She said that.
Yeah,
That's why
including
she
Trevor.
says that. That's why she ruined her relationship with Joel, because self-sabotaged it, because she could feel herself being vulnerable with him, and she cut that off and got with Trevor, where I imagine she is never
She's
challenged
perceived
to be
superficially.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so they have a very superficial relationship. And so yeah, maybe he's not prepared and he doesn't understand what comes with having the type of trauma that Rose has. But at the same time, to have such a fucking callous response, even if you're scared or whatever, like his immediate response is to be like, let me Google if your mom had a mental breakdown, if you will have a mental breakdown, and then I don't know if I want to hitch my wagon to whatever. What does he
Yeah.
say? I don't want to
Yeah.
hitch my life to a sinking ship or something like that. Something like that. That's not exactly it. What a fucker.
Those are kind of the vibes. I mean, I do
Those are the
think
vibes.
when she first gets home from this initial trauma at the hospital with Laura, he does try to be supportive and try to be there for her and try to be like, are you okay? Do you want to talk about this? Should we cancel dinner plans with your sister and her awful husband, Greg or George or whatever, and just stay home and like be people together? And she is the one that goes like, no, we couldn't possibly do that. I'm fine. Don't ask if I'm okay. Like, she does shut him down, and you can, this is not Trevor's movie, you know what I mean? So like we're not
Yeah.
necessarily here to be like sympathetic to Trevor, because like it's
No,
just not his movie, and so it's
I'm
not
not.
about his journey.
Fuck
I
But
have
him.
you
I
can
hate
nothing
him.
for Trevor.
imagine
I
a
think he's a
world
piece
in
of
which
shit.
Trevor has tried in the past potentially and then is like
Giving him too much
whatever.
credit.
Right, I'm just saying by the time he gets to the point where he's like I'm fucking out, it's like she has killed the cat, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah, but he
it,
hasn't tried to help her in a substantial way at
yeah,
all. She watched someone fucking die, and he was like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Tomorrow will be better. Don't worry. It was like get over it vibes to me. Like I don't think that he
he
like
does bring her
really has,
psychiatrist in
in a very terrible
in a
way.
very
He does
terrible
a
way.
fucking terrible
He doesn't know what
job.
he's doing. I think he's a bad partner for her, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, justice for Joel. But she said ACAB, so it's fine.
Yeah, no. I
Yeah, that's
understand it's a
definitely the
deal
way she said
breaker.
it. Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah.
I just like they're not compatible people,
Yeah. I also just think
which is why she wanted to be with him.
it's a horror movie, so it's gonna be horrific. But like I
Yeah,
just think that the whole her whole trauma backstory was like really just like it's a horror movie. Of course we're supposed to be uncomfortable to watch, but I don't think that it was like tactfully handled. And
yeah.
it was just like a horrible depiction of like people suffering from addiction, and like I understand that the people who are the children of addicts like have horrible trauma too, and that's what this is about. But I just don't think it was like portrayed super well. I don't know. It was just like kind of gross to watch from that perspective, but I get that like it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. But I was still like, cool, love that. Psych.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that
her whole
is to me part of one of the very interesting elements of this movie is her role as a social worker and her responsibility, not her responsibility, but like her feelings about that and the way that she engages with that, and because of her background the way that she comes to that, especially when like you get the full reveal about her background near the end of the movie. Because I think she, okay, so the deal is like her mom has a lot of mental health issues to the point where her older sister felt like she had to leave the house for her own health and survival at age 18, maybe a little younger. We don't really know for sure, but like left 10-year-old Rose behind. Rose was no older than 10 at that time. And then the mom died by overdose. And now Rose is a grown adult and she's working in the mental health field. Um, but as we get the reveal about her backstory, I think, okay, you were texting me earlier. You were like, I don't remember the scene where she kills her patient. That's to me one of the most interesting scenes in this movie because this movie kind of introduces the moral question that we talked about on Bones and all a little bit, which is like, if you have to harm someone else for your own survival, what kind of moral code do you develop for that? Like how do you if you want to survive and you have to do something terrible to do it, like what are your personal boundaries and limitations around that? And I think that they get into that in the beginning of Smile 2 in a really interesting way that they like is kind of just subtext in Smile 1 because she has the scene with her patient who is very vulnerable, a hugely vulnerable person for her to turn on. But also knowing her history with her mom and the way that she didn't act with her mom, I think like she is very possibly having this internal war of like if you have to kill somebody, who is more worthy of life than others? And also, if I'm a mental health worker, do I have my own internal biases that are unexamined about people who are more worthy of life than others? And so that's what I think is so interesting about that scene is she doesn't do that. It's like that's something she's scared that she might do. Um, and so it reveals this like insecurity she has about what kind of person she is. Is she making up for that enough by being in this field? Is she doing more harm than good by being in this field? I don't know. I just think there's so much like there from a character perspective that's so interesting.
Okay, I totally see what you're saying now because I was very curious when you texted me like, "Oh, I have so many thoughts about this." I think it's definitely because okay, what is revealed is that like she walks in to her mother's bedroom. Her mother is experiencing an overdose, and her mom asks her to call for help, and she's fucking terrified, and so she doesn't, and she runs away, and then her mom dies. And so she's lived with that guilt and she's been
And
trying to
presumably
like
never told any about her passivity in that moment or that she saw anything at all beyond discovering the body after her mom was dead.
yeah, I mean, you can presume that or not. I know it could I don't know how it actually shook out with that, but I think it is really interesting that that is like a worst nightmare vision, not like an actual because you think it's actually happening where she's like stabbing her patient over and over and
Carl.
over again. And I was like, oh, she's like playing it out once again. But she is, but in a nightmare scenario, she's like, oh my God, could I kill someone who is under my care? Because she still saw her mom as someone under her care because her mom was not functioning as an adult protector of her at that time. And so I think it's very interesting. It's very interesting what this smile demon does to you and what it makes you live and what it makes you see. And it's very, very fucked up. And it's very effective in some ways and then stupid in other ways, like when the sister's head comes off. That's dumb. But it was scary in the trailer, it was scary. But all of a sudden she's just like, my head's upside down. Like,
I
okay.
jumped at that. So
Oh yeah.
I never watched the trailer. So
No,
That was one of her
I
like
knew it was
original
coming.
storyboard
That
scares.
that entire sequence of her like getting in the car and then her walking down the whole part. That whole scene is in the trailer. The whole fucking thing. So that was spoiled.
Yeah, but the kids witnessing her having the freak out isn't.
Oh my
A
God.
little
Yeah.
bit, yeah.
Part of that is in the trailer, I think. The girl in the room
girl
with
for
her.
sure, yeah,
The
is
girl
in
in
the
the
trailer.
the girl at the party with her who's like
Maybe her falling into the table is in the
No, I was
trailer.
talking about her nephew. Like, she's
Yeah,
like freaking out, and you like pans to him, and you can see his little eyes
he's
kind of
like,
dilate a little
and
bit.
you also
oh
Which,
see him like
yeah.
looking through the window later,
uh-huh.
being
No,
sad. Jackson.
it's such an interesting concept, and I'm glad they're getting better at executing it because it really is interesting. Um, and they found a way to not make you feel so fucking terrible about experiencing, Rose's trauma in this one. Whatever her fucking name is, hot woman Naomi. Maybe that's the actress's name.
Skye Riley is the
Skye
character
Riley
name.
in Smile too, but yeah, I just think I don't know. I think that scene was really interesting. Oh, this is what I wanted to say before we got away too far away from the redheaded patient who she fake kills. That guy nails the smile. That guy nails the fucking smile. Other people
When
not
she
as
walks by and
good.
he's just sitting there.
Oh my God, nails it. He's got the right face for it.
Yeah.
I think they really cast people who could do a fucking freak shit thing for the second one.
Well,
And this one, they're just like, anyone could do the smile. No,
well, I
no, no,
also
no.
think
Only two
he
people in this
and
movie
the
can do the smile.
psychiatrist are like those where they had like casting for that roles. You know what I mean? Like they for sure like saw people, they auditioned
Yeah.
people. Whereas like the girl at the party, probably just an extra that they were just like, and who here has got the best one? I don't know how they fucking chose, but like I don't think that they were like casting someone for that necessarily. Whereas I think you're right though. In the second one, all the rando people, like even in the trailer, the girl who's like coming up for her shirt to be signed, and she's
Yeah.
like
But
she's
anyway,
nailing it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
I don't know. I think that also like I think the actual like main star actors in this movie, spoiler alert, their smiles aren't as good or and as effective, which is supposed to be like the kind of like the crux of the movie, like the big ultimate thing. And those ones kind of fell short for me, which was unfortunate because I was like, this is supposed to be the big part. But I think what's really interesting in this one is because it's a setup movie, because it's the first one in the series, it has to set up the whole lore. And I think that's like the horror of Rose going to Joel's place and slowly and realizing that everyone before has had these same experiences. And even before that, I think first she goes to the professor who killed himself with the hammer.
Judy
She goes
Reyes,
to
Carla from Scrubs.
Yep.
She's also in
That's
High
another
Potential.
yeah, I fucking loved
I
seeing her
love
in this.
her.
I love her so much. I love Scrubs so much.
I didn't
But
realize that
that
was her. I was like, I know this person. How do I know this person from? So thank you.
from Scrubs. She can do comedy, she can do drama, she can do everything.
What a woman.
But she is so good in that. And I thought it was interesting with like the drawings and stuff and that quick shot of his face all fucked up afterwards. That part pulled on my heartstrings. I don't think all of the like emotional parts got me as much, but that was really, really interesting. And I also loved the footage. I forgot about this part completely. The footage from the gas station of that one other kill. I thought that was really, really creepy too. That was really interesting. But yeah, I think what do you guys think about the like caveat with killing someone to not pass the demon or whatever? I think it's an
I
interesting
think
caveat. It brings
it,
up an interesting moral conundrum.
yeah. Well, because the thing with the curse, especially seeing this movie, is it even possible to beat it when it can distort your reality so strongly that you could be out in the middle of the woods completely alone, prepared to kill yourself so that there's no one to pass the curse to. But then as soon as you pull the trigger, you're gonna realize you're actually standing in the middle of a crowded theater or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
th there's no way to control for that. The element of this one that's really interesting is that she does have Joel, who is existing outside of the curse. And so I was wondering, like, if Joel shot her, could the curse end with her, or would that be traumatizing enough for him for it to pass? Or if she's not doing anything and he's the one doing, like, is that a loophole?
I
Like
think
if
you
he
have to.
shoots her but she doesn't die.
Well, she'd have
No,
to
she
die
has to
for the
Yeah, but that
die.
curse
would cause
to.
him trauma.
Right, that's what
Ew.
I'm saying. But like, if he's doing, like, does he need to have a traumatic experience in the presence of the monster, or does the monster need to be involved in the activity? You know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna work through this live, this theory that is bubbling
okay,
in my head. So if it doesn't make sense, sorry. But but I think maybe the only way for you to get past it is for you to like kill you don't get past it, but to beat it maybe is to like
mm-hmm.
kill yourself in a room with no one there on day one. Like literally. And how could you know?
How could you
Because
know? Yeah.
what it seems to be happening, and they don't totally get into this in the movie, but they hint at it and they get into it a little bit more, I think, in the last one. But having watched both, I think it wears you down over the week and destroys your sanity, which allows it to take control
To
of your
enter,
body
yeah.
fully and kill you. So I think that it's feeding off of your trauma the
It
whole
needs you
week
to
and
get you to your
growing,
lowest point,
and then it can literally enter
climb
your
into you.
body,
Yep.
climb into you, and then it can use you as a weapon to feed on another soul, because at that point so much of your psychic energy or whatever the fuck has been taken away. It's like an emotional vampire almost kind of
You're
vibes.
not left at that point, so there's nothing left of you to feed on.
My
Yeah,
body, my choice. Mr.
My
Demon,
body, my
please
choice, Mr.
I
leave me
know.
Smile
alone.
Demon.
Smile
This
Demon,
is
a
not
Republican, confirmed.
Wow.
confirmed. But yeah, no, I think that like the only way to like beat it, like I don't know, man, if it like you said something to me when we watched Smile 2 where you're like, I think you have to already have trauma for it to get you. But I don't think that that's true, because I think seeing the person dies, like if you had a perfect life up until that moment, I think that like, boom, there's your trauma, boom, done.
Well,
um,
it's interesting because they don't really touch on it as much in Smile 2, but they give you enough that if like you think that already, there's stuff there. But in Smile 1, it's like Rose watched her mom die, and Laura's grandfather died in front of her when she was 7. And the professor, his brother died and he never got over it. So you can kind of read something into that there. But they make it really, really clear to you that they all have a previous trauma that like changed the course of their lives, and that maybe included someone dying in front of them in the past. And so it's like I
I
kind
see
of
what
think
you're,
yeah, you have
I
to
see what
have
you're
trauma
saying,
to
but
be.
I don't think that, because it's also random, so where that people are, where the people are when they finally are overtaken, like the fact that he's at that gas station, you know what I mean? Like I don't think that the demon is like honing in on other people while it's doing it.
I would argue um that, and again, we don't really know for sure, but but my counter argument would be when they're doing their investigation, they find that some people only last 4 days, some people last a week, but nobody lasts longer than that. I would argue that it is possible that the cursed demon is like on its hunt for its next victim already, and it doesn't pass until it has someone it can pass to. So like it wouldn't have killed that guy at the gas station if it didn't know that that woman there was like a potential new host already. You know what I mean?
I think
But
there's
again, that's total speculation.
totally. I think that what you're saying could be true, but it doesn't need to be necessarily true. And also, here's another counterpoint. Maybe the person who died in 4 days didn't have trauma when they were younger, and so they weren't as resilient to the trauma they're experiencing currently because they weren't a trauma soldier like the rest of these people who last the extra 3 days. Um, but yeah, I mean,
We
either
just
way,
don't know.
it is interesting that they have that aspect to it. Um, for sure. And that will have interesting implications on Smile 3 if it happens, but that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
But the thing is, sorry, I'm eating spicy fish chips, and it's a very interesting choice to be making, but I'm very hungry right now and I'm
You've been
dying.
doing this for a while too.
I know, but I'm not eating till after this. Do you want me to pass out on the podcast? We can't have that.
We can do it together.
I don't know. I think one, I'm compelled by the love story in this movie, so that was another thing I wasn't expecting. It's light, but I was like, oh my God, he'd do anything for her. Even
He
like
still loves her.
he still loves her. And he's like, that's the reaction that you want. And I guess like he's seen a lot of shit because he's a cop, but also he's a cop. So we're not having these expectations of him being some great man. But like him being like in the car when she's finally explaining everything that's happened to her and how this all relates to her and everything. Because he just thought this was some sort of interesting psychiatrist project she was working on at first. He's like, okay, let's take the demon out of it for a second, but like I don't know about that, but like I know you're going through something and you need this information and there is an insane pattern here and there's something fucking going on. There's something fucking weird. So even if he can't get all the way there, he's still gonna like listen to her and hear her and like respect that she is experiencing something and like care for her enough to try to figure it out with her, even if like in his mind he's indulging the delusion, like arguing with someone who's having something like that is not going to really ever help the situation that much. I don't know. I'm not a mental health specialist, but I just know that from like having grandparents with dementia and that sort of a thing. It doesn't help to fight what's going on. So I think he has like a really good reaction, and that makes me fall in love with him. And also, he's so hot, like we talked about. So almost forget he's cop. I've picked up your mannerism, by the way, of saying he's cop, not a cop. I
have
noticed last week
purse.
that I
That's what it
started
comes
saying that.
from.
You what?
It started from I have purse,
Purse?
and I've just really extrapolated in all spheres of my
I've
life.
noticed it, and it started to bleed into my life. I saw it the other day, and Adam was like, "You have blah blah," and I was like, "Sorry, it's Chelsea's fucking fault."
I find it a very charming way of speaking.
I also find it a very charming way of speaking. I love it.
But yeah, I mean, she has curse, so it's not
She
good in
has
this. She has
curse.
curse.
She has curse, and he's like, "Okay, you
It
have
rhymes
curse."
so perfectly. Oh my God, I didn't even realize that until
He
I
has
sang
curse. She
it.
has curse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think part of the lore that is like funny to me about the killing somebody in front of somebody else to pass it along is like, well, girl, how did you know that, Mr. Robert Talley? Um, but that's for Smile 5, the prequel film. Once they, really get their franchise up and running, I assume.
Robert Talley, is that the guy in prison who killed
Yeah. Yeah,
someone?
yeah, yeah.
It's because he looked it up online in the dark web and saw that in Brazil that happened.
Oh yeah,
Literally.
he did so. How
Why didn't we get a
he
research on the computer scene?
they Google smile.
They don't let
And
us see the screen when Kyle's doing the research. I'm sorry,
sure.
Joel's doing the research.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
sexy
mean,
Joel.
there's been other chains in the past. Like, what is his deal? I am so curious about him, but I accept that he's only there to just dump exposition on us so that
Yeah.
we can know what's going on as the movie moves forward, and like what their options are. And I do think that that is a good, like, dramatic reveal, and that part of that was in the trailer. Because when she bursts out, she's like, I can't kill someone, and then he's like, you have it. Why did you come here? Like that was in the trailer. So again, you're right. That would have been a great moment to not give away.
I know, because that's such I think even though it's just an exposition dump character, I think that his like fucking horror in that moment is like really well done and well acted. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
thanks for spoiling it for me, you little bitches.
Yeah, the idea that he had the curse, figured out what the curse was, did all of this research, figured out how he could survive the curse, came to terms with the moral implications of that and the consequences of that he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life or whatever, but at least it is survival, only for someone with the curse to come back into his sphere, and be like, you're telling
Terrifying.
me
I don't
that
blame him
if
for freaking out.
this interaction goes the wrong way, I could have killed someone and traumatized someone who then presumably died from the curse for no reason whatsoever, because it's just going to come back to me. And like it's uh, he is having his own absolute fucking horror story over there for sure.
100%. Also, just before I forget to say this, justice for Mustache. I just want
Justice
to
for
say,
Mustache the cat. What a good name for a cat.
I
What
was
a cute
watching
little
this with my
cat.
cat, Daphne, and I was
I know.
like,
I
Cover
had
her
Daph,
Pickle
eyes.
with me
close your
too.
eyes, babe.
I was like, no, mustache.
Pickle, look away.
Don't look. That's so
Doesn't Pickle
sad.
have
I
a
mean,
mustache? Or no? I'm thinking of my other friend's cat.
as a pet owner, as a pet, call me Pat from now on. Please don't. I was horrified by that because imagine like realizing you killed your pet.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so fucking terrifying. Um, Also, just shout out to the actors who play Greg, the brother-in-law, and what's her fucking name? Blonde woman, Holly, the sister. They're really good at being vapid bitchy assholes throughout the film. And I think they did a great job of making me hate them so much. I understand their perspectives as well, but I still hated them so fully and so completely. Um, and also just Jackson. So sorry that he now has the trauma that can make him get the smile monster disease later on in life. That's a bad birthday to have.
That is a bad birthday to have. Hopefully, it doesn't reach that level of trauma, but it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah. But I think that it's really like interesting. The end of this movie is really interesting to have her like realize that she's so close to literally killing someone that she's like, okay, well, I've realized today that I have to that maybe my story is done.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I got to
because
take myself out of the equation, otherwise I'm going to hurt more people.
that's the thing that's so interesting about the hospital scene to me in many ways, is because like I think it is, she has this fear that is like a low that she could sink to. And also this fear that she has these internal biases that are hurting people that she wants to be helping. And I think you can really see that is like the fear that the curse is preying on, and not just like a scary thing to witness to make you scared. Because afterwards, outside the hospital in the car, when Cal Penn comes down to talk to her, she's like, I'm not like, it's not safe for me here. She's saying like, it's not safe for me to stay here. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen to anybody if I stay here. Like, I
Yeah.
think it's a really strongly implied. She gotta get the fuck out because she is the danger.
And then
So
she's just doing the same thing that she does her whole life for the most part after experiencing that horrific experience with her mother. She's like, I need to put everyone else before me for forever. And so she makes that choice again too, where she's like, there's no more helping me. I need to take myself away from where I can hurt other people. Um, so it's just sad to see that play out again. And I just think this ending is so interesting too because I was just looking this up. This movie came out in 2022, and so did Barbarian. And I think that was
Yeah.
another reason why I was really fucking mad watching Smile, because I saw Barbarian in theaters, and spoilers for Barbarian coming up. So if you haven't seen it, fast forward or something, because I'm spoiling the twist. But like, it is so interesting to me that these movies came out at the almost exact same time. Like, what is the date that this was released?
They were both
I
in
think
the fall.
they're both in the fall. I missed Smile in theaters, and I was super fucking pissed about it because I was hyped, as I said. But I did not miss Barbarian in theaters, and I went fucking crazy for that movie, and I loved it. And they did the same, not same, but so similar in so many ways, character design for their big
For their
bad,
tall mommy.
their tall mommy. And it's so, I think it's just so interesting how that happened, that like people can have these two
Parallel
similar
ideas.
ideas, that parallel ideas that come out at the same time. It happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Lollipop as the credit song in this
Yes,
movie also feels very
be
similar,
my
and
little
it
baby.
doesn't make sense in this movie unless you know that working on the movie they were calling the demon Lollipop, which obviously how could anybody possibly know that? Um so that really felt like, because at least in Barbarian it makes sense, be my little baby, mommy wants baby. In this movie it's like, Lollipop, what the fuck are you talking about? Why is this
That was
here?
that is another reason why I was so fucking furious with this movie too, because I was just like, and they did the fucking credit scene thing, and they, or not credit scene, credit song thing, and they didn't do it nearly as well as Barbarian, and they're just hopping on the creepy old song train, and I was like, I love the Lollipop song, don't associate it with this movie. I was fucking really, really like, that was like, I had a bad time, and then that song played, and I was like, fuck you.
Fuck you.
But
Yeah.
I do think it's really hard because I think sorry, that Barbarian, the mother and Barbarian fucking slayed so hard, and I thought it was so effective and fun and scary and crazy. And then seeing this second definitely made um was a disservice to Smile, because maybe I wouldn't have hated it so much if I hadn't seen Barbarian first and so soon before it. Um but yeah, and I also just think that something with this franchise that I don't love their creature design.
Yeah.
I don't love their creature design. It
Which
doesn't
they
hit
do
for
kind
me.
of abandon in Smile too, which I
I think
wasn't
it's,
thinking about seeing Smile 2, but watching Smile 1 again, I was like, oh, like all the face tearing off stuff. Like, I
yeah,
liked
I'm glad.
that to a degree because it reminded me of Poltergeist. And like all of the upside down shots or like the overhead shots, especially in the beginning, reminded me of like The Shining, and
Yeah.
Candyman. Candyman especially felt very like relevant as a like cultural touch point for this movie. But yeah,
No,
the
they keep that. They
many
keep all
teeth and
the
stuff.
upside down things. They do that a
Yeah.
billion times in Smile too, but yeah, the peeling off the face, I was like, there's one too many peel off the face. And the CGI wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
And like the the tall mommy thing. The tall mommy thing I feel like is maybe we do see Laura like looking up in the beginning, so it does feel like
she's
a
just
part
big.
of the
Yeah, she's just
creature
big.
design, but also in the like finale, in the climax, it is also to like make Rose feel like she's a child again with
Yeah,
tall mommy. So like
that's a
that
really
is
good
very much
point.
a psychological element of it. And they even like made a new set at like a smaller scale so that she would like, the tall mommy would like seem especially tall, you know what
Mm,
I mean? So part
that's
of
really.
that is like she's big so that Rose is small.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
That makes me like it more. That makes me like it more. I hadn't thought about that.
yeah, but like the element at the end of like all the mouths and all the teeth, like there it is an interesting design because IMDb trivia was talking about how it's like a matryoshka doll. It's like a person and a person and a person and a person, and especially the way that the demon like crawls into your mouth. It's like now all of those people from the chain are inside of you.
Ooh,
So like,
I wish that was more apparent in the
yeah,
design. That's a
I think
cool idea.
intellectually, this movie has a lot going for it. But a lot of that you kind of have to intuit or interpret yourself. And that can work really great. And also sometimes it's like you're just leaving things on the floor that could have helped bolster your movie.
Yeah. No, totally. But like, I also don't think the twist was believable at all for me. Like the twist of her beating the monster and then it's twist she didn't beat the monster. I just I wish they had made the her killing of the monster like more grandiose so you could actually believe that it was over. So maybe that would be more of a gotcha moment because she literally just smashed it in the head with a lantern and then the house lit on fire and she ran away. And I was like, that's not gonna fucking kill it. How could that
Demons
kill it
can't be set on fire.
if it's
Well,
this crazy trauma demon thing? Like, how is it actually a real physical entity now? I don't know. I just like I'd seen it before, but I still don't think it was big enough to seem like she actually got it.
I think, and maybe this is kind of supporting your point, it's so similar to the end of A Nightmare on Elm Street, where it seems like, oh, to defeat the monster, it actually has nothing to do with fighting the monster. It's like a psychological journey. So her
Mm,
confronting her trauma and going, you actually have no power over me, is the thing that defeats the monster rather than killing it and burning it. But
okay,
then
okay.
again, also like in A Nightmare on Elm Street, it's like there's this like in that movie, it's just like the tag at the end that they, kind of don't
No.
get into like what that was necessarily. But it's like that is how you defeat the monster, except like, does that work? I don't know, girl.
No, no, thank you for saying that because there's been a lot of stimulus since I watched this. I only watched it yesterday. I didn't watch it more than once. I forgot about that. That's what it really is. It's her being like, I didn't help you because I was scared of
I was
you.
10 years old.
I was 10 years old, which like I'm sorry making light of this horrific situation, but like it was very like emotional catharsis and then she went boom with the lantern and like that was
Mhm.
pretty much it. But I was like her admitting to this one trauma like is not gonna fix this situation. There's no way. There's no way that one therapy breakthrough is the one thing that's keeping this demon from taking your soul when it's taken so many souls before. Like there's no way.
She hasn't even bothered healing her inner teen. She was only 12. She was only 10 at the time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, well, this ending though does make me feel like there's more fuel to your theory though because that is how they really break you down is with bringing up stuff from your past. But I still think this thing's fucked up. I think that it could get you even if you have had a perfect life with nothing gone wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I think that that is a potentially interesting conversation of the film, of like, can this be defeated and how can this be defeated? And this would be a very different movie if she was able to defeat and escape it in that scene because it could be so empowering, quotation marks, um for the monster to be like, oh, your mind is so inviting to me, this is real because your mind makes it real, you can't escape your own mind, you're stuck there. And then she's like, well, yeah, but it's my mind, and bitch, you're stuck here with me, and if it's my mind, I'm actually in control and I can confront what's going on in here and kill you and seize the power. And she says, like, for most of my life, oh, that's her speech to Joel later,
Joel.
but like, um, I don't know. That could be like such a, again, empowering, real or quotation marks empowering moment potentially. Um, And then the movie goes,
But it would kill the
actually,
sequels.
you're fucked. I was just keeping you busy, and letting you entertain yourself and letting you feel like you had agency so that you were not aware of the fact that you were circling the drain. Um, and now I'm
To
killing
give
you
time for
for
Joel
real.
to get there. It just
Yeah,
was
I
just
was
buying time
actually
to have Joel get there.
right. I was making you think that you didn't have to be sweating this anymore so that I could get a cursed victim here for it to pass to. Um, and there is nothing that you could have done because how could you possibly do anything when you can't for sure know that what you're doing, you're even doing, etc.,
Yeah,
etc.
that's why I think you
Um,
can only kill it on day one because by the time that it takes over your motor functions and like we never see her kill the cat. We never see her kill the
yeah.
cat. So like she's doing something else in her mind completely when she kills that fucking cat, you know? So he can have her be like sitting thinking that she's like sitting at a desk typing an essay or something like that and she's walking across town to find another person, you know? Like she has like no agency at that point, which is i- interesting and so scary, but it's also like a little bit annoying because I do hate it when there's feels like there's no chance.
Mhm.
And it does the way they've set it up makes it feel like there's like no chance with this fucking thing. But who
Yeah.
knows? They're gonna do 40 more of these, so maybe
And
they'll come up
I'll
with
and I'll
something.
be seated after this. After
Oh,
Smile 2, I'll be seated.
100% I'll be
But that's
seated.
part of the thing I think is different is that like there's so much that is like fun and really visually entertaining about Smile 2, because it is about a pop star and so it has a lot of room. If you're in a pop star's mind, there's so many like the choreography can be like really cool and weird in a way that is like totally justified by the narrative instead of just like we thought
Yeah,
this would be cool or you know what I mean? So that one I think is like fun enough that you can get into like the grim questions of like can trauma ever be healed? Or are you fucking doomed forever, you sad sack of shit? Um, which is what feels like is the takeaway from the first movie a little bit. You know what I mean? Like the whole
yeah,
movie is sad and grim, and then it also has a sad and grim ending. And for some people, that is gonna hit because those themes might really resonate with them. And like the feeling of it being like a hopeless, vicious cycle maybe will also resonate. Um, Maybe you're not coming to a horror movie for a happy, hopeful ending. Um, but I think for me to have like the full height of the experience with that kind of movie, I also want to be having fun along the way.
yeah.
And that
This one isn't
Smile
very
is not
fun.
fun.
It's
Yeah.
not fun. It is not fun. It is
That's it again. I
not
do
fun,
love the
and
scene
I
with the
don't.
psychiatrist. I love the
That
scene with the
that's
psychiatrist
so
when
good.
she's coming and
That's
then
fun.
she's like waving through the glass door and then they're like talking and then she's like,
And the energy of that scene they bring into the sequel, that scene in
yeah.
particular, they're like that fucked. That was the probably most effective part of
What
the
hit
entire
in the
film.
first movie? Let's do more of that. Yeah.
And that's something that I think is really cool too, that they like did this first one and then they're like, let's
What did we learn
learn,
from this experience? Yeah.
and let's improve. And so that doesn't usually sequel worse, sequel better. So interesting. See, look, I'm doing it all the time for everything now, your little tick. But yeah, are
I
we
loved her screams
ready?
in the credits though. They do that. That's I didn't even notice it in this one until after I'd seen Smile too. But after Lollipop stops playing, you can like hear her screams on and off. And the credits continue to roll. So
Wow.
spooky.
Spooky. Well, are we ready for our
I don't even want to say it.
segments?
Regular segments. Yes, we're ready for our regular segments.
Ready.
How could this
Here
movie
we
be gayer?
go.
Jumped on
Wow.
ya.
Now you're taking my things.
I
Okay,
have
I get
segment.
it. Yes, but how could this movie be gayer? Um, Sophie could be bisexual, and we could have had
And
Trevor
perhaps she
be
is.
and
But then,
but then I wouldn't wanted her to suck. It could have been a hot, sexy gay cop lady. But I don't want to lose Kyle Gallner. That's like the reason I like this movie.
yeah.
I think he's a very compelling actor, and I like that he has built-in eyeliner because his lower lash line is very robust, and I love that about him.
Here's the thing. She could just be bisexual and have bad fiance.
Current male fiance and past ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, she
But also
definitely could
Joel
still be
is also bisexual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he know that about himself?
Yes.
I guess that could be up for debate, but
Yes, he
he
absolutely
is.
does. He knows.
I'm getting a fierce queer energy from the therapist.
Oh, for sure. I think Holly and Greg could be white suburban Republican
Swingers.
lesbians
Oh.
potentially. Where they're like, but we're not like those other queers. We're actually high-powered business queers, and we actually don't even use the word queer. So,
They're
we're
the
just having,
other gays that JD Vance was talking about.
yeah,
The
where it's like,
normal gays.
they don't make it their whole personality or anything, okay? So like actually it's fine. But I could really see them being like bitchy lesbians who are trying to exist outside of the queer community and be embraced by normal suburbia.
Perf lesbians. Cool. Love them.
That'd be such a fun way for it to be gay.
That'd be so fun. Let's bring it into the reality of life. Fun. Here, levity again. Let me take the cow pin out on Cal Penn and say that he's a gay man.
Wow. I love that for him.
Love that for him. He's beautiful. He's so cute. Honestly, I just like he's looking at me with his little IMDb picture right now, and I'm like, stop. I love him. I think he's very handsome. Jackson, the little boy, gay.
Gay. Laura, gay.
Which one's
Mustache,
Laura?
Gay icon.
Mustache is a gay
Mustache
cat.
gay icon.
Getting a big queer.
Mustache
wow,
gay.
they're gays in this movie.
They're
God damn, it's so
cat.
problematic.
Wow.
Beautiful queer cat. I love it.
Proud bisexual mother of a queer cat.
Exactly.
There's a lot of gay things happening in this film. But are we ready to talk about Matthew Lillard?
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other gay thoughts? Sorry, I forgot the thing I say. I'm off my game. Matthew Lillard, where would he go?
He could be Cal Penn.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. He
Or
would be great as that. He would be so great as that. I just love Cal Penn.
Here's the thing. What if it's two doctors? What if she had two doctors and it was Cal Penn and Matthew Lillard just
And they're
they
having
do
a torrid romance.
Perfect synchronicity.
They finish each other's sentences.
It's like that TikTok trend where they're like, when my boss says it's not a 2-person job and everyone's doing everything together, it would be that.
They're just
with
holding
Matthew
hands
Lillard
in every
and Cal
scene.
Penn. So fucking funny. That would be immaculate. I also think that Matthew Lillard would be really good as the guy who kills himself with the shears in that little footage at the gas station. Sorry to give him a tiny role again, but he'd slay. Literally.
Another tiny role for him being the bitch cop who's just like, oh, are you a dumb bitch? In the interrogation, I think he could bring some real pizzazz to that.
Oh, he could have been the guy working the prison who riffs with
oh, I can only give you 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Or it would have been great if he was the guy who killed the other person and is in live but is jail that skipped the curse.
Oh, Robert Talley.
Yeah.
You could have been Mustache the cat.
Oh.
Anybody's considered that?
That's just like
I think you'd really slay it.
I think that this movie franchise loves to pull people that you really care about from old shows and put them on your screen. We literally get someone from House in the second one, so I won't say more than that. But I think
God, they do love House. Cal Penn and that guy.
Yeah. But also, I
Taub.
just want to say that I think that there is a world where like in reality, where Matthew Lillard is in Smile 3. Like he could be one of the like random actors that everyone knows that they're like, oh my God,
Oh my God, he's
that they
revealing
bring in
backstory. Yeah.
just for like a bit role for like 5 seconds or
Also, I bet
whatever.
he'd be
Like,
great at the smile.
no, I bet he'd be so good at the smile. He'd do it a little goofy, but like very scary. Chelsea's really good at the smile, and it's wrong, and it should stop.
Do you like
Ooh,
it? I'll do it
our
all the
selfies
time
should all
just for
be
you.
us doing the smile,
Oh,
maybe.
that
Except,
was what I was gonna do.
yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna practice it. Okay, Matthew Lillard, done that, dumb bitch. Trevor.
Yeah, hard not to give it to Trevor. But he's in so far over his head. Holly also, I think, gets a little bit of a nomination at least, because especially in the birthday party scene, it's like that's your sister, girl. I know your child is here, but his other parent is also here, and there's nobody here who's like attending to your sister at all, and nobody is doing anything. There's a room full of children,
They
yes,
already
but
hate
also
each other.
adults who are just standing there staring. Like, I think you feel for this sister when Rose goes by later and like Holly comes out and like talks to her at the door. Like she seems so truly shaken, you know what I mean?
She's
Um
trying to protect her son, which I get.
yeah.
I still
I
think
will
she's a
say,
Yeah.
bitch.
I love when she goes, sorry that I feel basic human empathy for others and you're just a little fucking narcissistic bitch in a little bubble. That resonated really hard with me today.
Yeah, that slayed. That really slayed.
That was a read. That was a serve. That
Mm-hmm.
was a
And then
That
she's
was a
like, sorry,
slay.
read.
I don't know why I said that. Go off, queen.
I'd be like, bitch, I say that with my whole chest.
That's a read on the fucking white women who voted for Trump. I'm looking at you, bitches. You
Uh-huh.
better not be looking at me right now. Leave.
Not
Um,
us.
but yeah, that was to the audience, not to any of you guys, to be clear. But anyway, I think that she definitely I think they hate each other already. It's so clear that they have a terrible relationship, and so like she doesn't have the compassion for her younger sister that you might expect. Like she
And I
just
think you can argue that some of that is like a survival instinct. Like she needed to shut off the compassion so that she could leave the house and care for herself. And you can argue
yeah.
again about like, is that allowed? Or is that something that you can like morally justify within yourself or for somebody else, whatever. But like, I don't know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
I think it's got to be Trevor. The rest of them are too
Yeah.
complicated. Bye, Trevor. Fuck you, dumb bitch. Anyway, that brings us to our knives out of fives. Chelsea, set the scene.
This movie, again, had an award-winning marketing campaign and also really surpassed studio expectations for it. So, like, it had a $17 million budget and then it earned something like 22 million in its first weekend or something like that. So they were shocked to discover that. Um, on IMDb, that's not necessarily super reflected. It has only a 6.5 out of 10. But on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 79% fresh from critics and 77% fresh from audiences. And at the 2023 MTV Movie and TV Awards, it was nominated for Best Movie and Most Frightened Performance for Sosie Bacon. And at the 2023 Golden Scythe Horror Awards. It was nominated for a whole slate of awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress in a Leading Role for Sosie, Best Supporting Actress for Caitlin Stasey, Best Original Screenplay, Best Original Score, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Best Editing, Best Use of Visual Effects, Best Trailer, and Best Horror Movie Moment for When the Monster is Revealed. And most importantly of all, at the 2022 Just Jared Jr. Fan Awards, it was nominated for favorite movie, or maybe one favorite movie. I guess I didn't write down if it was nominated or one, but the
So
Just
glad that
Jared
that's a thing that
Jr.
exists.
I know.
I'm glad to
So
know that
good.
exists.
I was like, oh,
That's
the
so
2022 Just
important.
Jared Jr. Fan Awards. That's going in the notes.
Well, who wants to go first on this one?
I'll go first. I like I said, I liked this movie the first time I saw it. I thought it was really interesting. Now that I've seen Smile 2, I think Smile 2 is the superior film, but by necessity, in terms of creative development and also in terms of storytelling, Smile 2 couldn't exist and wouldn't be what it is without Smile 1.
Totally
So
true.
I think Smile deserves a lot of credit for its ideas, its execution, it's set up for what I think could be a very interesting franchise and universe. Um, I do think like it didn't necessarily hit as hard for me the second time around. Again, I think because I've seen Smile 2 and that one is so fun and colorful and visually interesting and camp that it's like this one is kind of boring and gray by
Yeah.
comparison. Um, but again, the character journey and the implied like character struggles for Sosie Bacon's character in the history that she has and the role she's put herself in and the way she's like trying to occupy that role and her struggles with like, do I deserve to be here? Am I a good person? Am I hurting people? Can I hurt people for my own survival? I can't do that. I'm scared of like I think it's a very interesting story.
Hmm.
But that said, I'm like probably I'm not super enthusiastic about it necessarily. I don't know that I ever would have rewatched it other than if I was maybe showing it to somebody. Um, but I would not like I probably would never put Smile again on my TV on my own. So I think I'm gonna land at like a 3.8 with it.
Okay. Sydney, do you want to go next?
I'd probably give this like a 3.5. I didn't hate it with a burning rage, but I was dissociated for most
Sure.
of the time. And but every time that I did kind of check back in with it, I didn't hate it.
You were like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, back to wherever I am.
Goodbye.
So goodbye.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think for me, I'm going to give this one a 3 just because I am docking whatever I would have else given it by for the trailer that it did. For the trailer that it put out that gave away all of its money making fucking jump scares. I think I know I'm not alone in being really fucking pissed off about that because I was
Yeah.
doing some research and I saw so many other people who had that same take. And it's just really frustrating because I don't think it's a bad movie. Definitely not. I think that the IP that it's created, this is like such an interesting concept. And like we've said 4,000 times, Smile 2 is better. So like it can be improved upon. It was. It literally was already. It already happened. Um, but like I'm just mad at them because they did such an incredible job marketing. And then they also did a fucking abysmal job marketing because they gave away too much. And it's just frustrating. I wish they had left a little bit more up to the imagination. But yeah, I think that this is a really interesting movie. And I don't think that I would have loved to see it done by someone who was a little more tasteful with some of the trauma aspects of it. That would have been a lot better as well. But that said, it wasn't totally the worst, most abysmal depiction of mental illness and those types of struggles and addiction that I've ever seen in my life. But that is not that big of a compliment. But yeah, so I'll give it a 3. I think that it is a really interesting movie, and I'm glad this franchise exists. And I'm glad to have released my white hot, unbridled, furious hatred for it and now just feel pretty neutral. That's nice to release that, you know?
It's
Sorry, I'm not crying.
beautiful.
I'm choking on the spicy fish thing.
A
But
likely
anyway,
story.
I'm just so emotional about Smile 3. No, I'm emotional about everything else. But that brings us to the end. Smile 3. Whoa, Smile 3. Already talking about Smile 3. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this episode. But there's much more on the horizon. Oh shit, I just realized, Sydney, you introduced this one, but next week was your pick.
You can go again.
Go again, girl, if you're up to it, or I can do it. I don't care.
We're doing Thanksgiving.
Yeah, girl, we're doing Thanksgiving. We're
I
like,
could feel the enthusiasm rolling off of her.
I'm so sorry. I've still just been dissociating so I don't cry.
Completely
No,
reasonable, girl.
totally
Completely
reasonable.
And now
Here.
we're doing Thanksgiving as I boycott my family's Thanksgiving. So this will be, honestly,
Exactly.
This
this
will be
might
our
be
Thanksgiving.
cathartic.
This will
I
be
just-
our Thanksgiving. Are
There
you
we
mad
go.
at the Republicans in your life that you have to see on Thanksgiving? Hang out with us.
Hang out
We're
with
not
us.
Republicans and we're cool.
We're going to talk about murder.
We're going to talk about murder.
Yay!
Well, what did I think the first year we did this podcast when we did Thanksgiving? My God, there should be more Thanksgiving horror movies. And
Mhm.
now there is. And this is another intellectual property taken from Grindhouse, which
Mhm.
is one of my all-time favorites. So we covered that last year. This
I
was
am
one
excited
of.
to watch this because I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it? It's fun.
I haven't seen
It's
it
like,
either.
It's just like schlocky holiday horror. You know what I mean? You know how a
Okay.
lot of them are just like slasher
Go off,
holiday.
queen.
That's it. That's pretty much it. So, but like, not bad. That's not a bad thing. Love that shit. That's great. So, I'm excited to watch
Shouldn't
it
get
with.
all of them.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it with my full chest. You know, because I definitely. Sorry, I just got an annoying text, so that's what that eye roll was. It definitely is. It's definitely fun. It's definitely fun. And I'm excited to pay full attention to it and to, go into the world of Eli Roth because that guy's fucked up. He's a fucked up guy. And I love that
So
about
true.
him. Remember when
I
you guys
love that
loved
about
Cabin
him.
Fever?
Oh my
Remember
God,
when you
yeah.
loved Cabin Fever?
Oh my
Remember
God,
how I
right.
watched Hostel one time and when I was home alone in high school and it ruined me and I was so scared. Yeah, love you, Eli, you sick
Oh,
fuck.
great.
But anyway, that brings us to the end of our Smile episode. And it reminds us all to follow us on social media and give us a 5-star review. What you could do is you could give us a 5-star review and say, I actually love that you're women. And I actually don't hate that about you. And I also additionally love that you're gay. And I don't hate that about you. That would be really cool to hear right now because it feels like everybody else in the world doesn't feel that way. So
Chat, can we get a yay go gay?
yeah, could we get a Yago gay in the comments, babe?
We
That would
haven't
be
gotten a Yago
so
gay in a
sweet.
while.
I haven't gotten a yay go gay in a minute.
I feel like we could really use a Yago gay right now. And also, why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we are at Spooky Tuesday Pod. Put a .com after that, spookytuesdaypod.com, and check out our website. Learn every sort of piece of information about us that we will let you know. It's all there for you. And why not follow us on social media? I'm so sorry. Why not follow us on YouTube? Excuse me. And you can see us dissociating live.
Live.
Watch us feel bad and almost cry live. Watch us have zit patches on live. Look at
I
my
did the
cool gay
smile.
hat, though.
And Monica said I did a good job. So you
You
probably
did a
want to
really
see it.
good job, but it was really fucking funny because at the beginning of this, you started with the smile, and I
I
was like,
know.
"Girl, you're not gonna do the smile through our Trump won the election disclaimer. You
I know,
cannot
I
do
wasn't
it. I will be
thinking.
disturbed."
Like, just
Because
I was
you
like,
said
could
you were
you
going to do
actually
disclaimer first
stop?
and then say smile, but I was like, actually, it's too late. I've committed.
I saw that and I was like, I need her to stop. I don't want to tell her to stop, but I need her to stop. And then she
I'm not
stopped.
trying to interrupt the flow right now, but she needs to tone it down.
I was like, girl, I'm already upset. But anyway, it's a very beautiful moment that you can only see on YouTube. So please subscribe to us there. And at the end of the day, we have to say a reminder that we love you and we accept you here. And let's all do a big group hug.
We're all still
And
trying to
then-
make the world a better place, and that continues.
Exactly. So we love you so much. Thank you so much for listening. And we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye, Spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Heyyyy, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Great18. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can follow on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's RyanBrommArt.
Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday.